Hello and welcome to the United Stand. Not normally back live so quickly, but a big breaking news story in the UK, if you are a UK citizen, is that Jose Mourinho, or Manchester United, fear that Jose Mourinho will quit Manchester United this summer. This is in the Daily Mail and it's come out in the last 20 minutes, and I can already hear the laughing in relation to where it's come out of from here. But Jose Mourinho to quit Manchester United. Why and where is this story coming from? This is coming from, and a lot of it's, remember the fan cam we had the other day from the fan who says, oh, he lives in a hotel, he lives in a hotel. Well, this story is saying that Mourinho is cutting more and more a dejected and isolated figure at Manchester United, and there is a feeling that he doesn't want to be in Manchester. He's struggling with the success and the attributes and the open checkbook, I suppose, that Pep Guardiola gets at Man City. He doesn't feel that he's getting the project that he wanted at Manchester United. He's not committed to Manchester United in the fact because he's living in a hotel, and that there is a fear that Mourinho is becoming more and more out of love with this project that he seemed so in love with at the start. And that ties in with something I spoke about probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, that Mourinho's contract is up at the end of next season. No manager goes into the final year of their contract without a new contract. Where is Mourinho's contract? Why is Jose Mourinho not getting a contract? Is that because the club are waiting to see what's going to happen this season? Is it because there's an offer of a contract on the table and Mourinho is not signing it? Now, I personally don't think these sort of stories help, and I agree with people who are frustrated by it, because I think Mourinho is going to stay. I think he would be a weak man to walk away from Manchester United and let Guardiola win, and I don't think that's the sort of person Mourinho is. However, I do have fears that why is this new contract not a big story? Why is it not being promoted more by the press rather than the anti-Mourinho press? And also, why is it not such a big issue for the fans? Why is it not such a big issue for Mourinho? Why is there no mention of it? Because we are, what, 4 months off from May, and that's when Mourinho's got a year left on his contract. Now, this story is saying that there's a fear that Mourinho is going to resign in the summer, that there are similarities of the third season syndrome that we all know about with Mourinho, that it all goes wrong, or he gets bored, or he falls out with people in the third year, and that tends to be the end of Mourinho at the club that he's at. This is only year 2. I think he's had a lot. I think this is probably the hardest job Mourinho's ever had, apart from Porto, and that was obviously a lot smaller club. So he's had a lot of challenges. I said at the start of the season we'll win the title because Mourinho always wins the title in the first 2 years. I'm a massive Jose Mourinho fan. I don't want him to go anywhere. This story, I've gone live for it because I think it's a significant story that is going to cause a lot of stress to a lot of Manchester United fans, as I can see in the live comments. I mean, we've got 40 dislikes, like it's me saying he's going to bloody leave, when I'm the biggest Jose Mourinho fan out there and very public about the fact that I like him. So if you're disliking the video because we're reacting to some other outlet saying that our manager's going to walk in the summer, I think that's very short-sighted. We've gone live so that we collectively as fans can react to it and discuss it because our club matters to us. I'm not saying that Jose Mourinho is leaving. I'm reacting, or we as the United Stand and you are reacting to a big story that's just gone out that our manager is apparently isolated, detaching himself from the club. The club are fearful that he's going to walk away from the summer. He's not got any interests in Manchester. He apparently got a private jet on Christmas Eve to go back to London, which he sees as his home, and he's falling out of love with this project. Now, we are reacting to that. I hope and lean towards the fact that that's not true, because I don't want Mourinho to go. I don't think there is any better than Mourinho, and I think our club, it's a hard thing. It's a really, really hard thing for the club to manage, because I'm a firm advocate that Manchester United are bigger than anybody. I mean, I get annoyed when Zlatan's taking free kicks because it's like Zlatan United instead of what's best for Manchester United. And Manchester United is bigger than Jose Mourinho, but I think at every other club Mourinho's been at, and arguably even Real Madrid in some ways, he's bigger than the club. But I never wanted Mourinho to be bigger than the club, and I don't think he ever wanted to be bigger than the club. I think that the problem Manchester United have is now, and I look at it as now, and I don't know what you all think, is that I think that Mourinho almost does need a bit of respect from Manchester United, almost does need a little bit of an arm around the shoulder and a bit of, we want you to stay. And maybe that relationship isn't there, and maybe that's why Mourinho feels a little bit detached, and maybe that there doesn't seem to be synergy between Manchester United Football Club and Mourinho. That's what I mean. I was thinking about this before I was going live because I wanted to obviously defend Mourinho, which is what I do a lot, and I wanted to say that he's not going to go, But the reason I reacted to it is because actually it got me thinking, and you know, Sir Alex Ferguson, Manchester United, you can't compare because they were like, you know, cement. It was the perfect relationship. Mourinho and Manchester United, it's never sort of clicked together, has it? You never feel that it's the perfect marriage. It seems like there's a lot of respect, but we're never quite together. And I think that if Mourinho's got concerns and Mourinho is feeling a bit detached, then it's the club's responsibility to make him feel loved, to make him feel part of it. And I don't know what you lot think, because I'm going to take your points now, but I think that this is, I mean, Chris Goodry makes a good point. It was a sad state if he wanted this job so badly and then gives up on a hard project. And just a bit of love, says Marius, just a bit of love. I think that is it. I think what Mourinho is, Andrew Ellis, who's not a Mourinho hater, he is a Mourinho hater, sorry, he says, what is happening with our mentality thinking that Jose is irreplaceable when he's past his sell-by date? I disagree with Andrew on this. I do respect him, but I disagree with him on this because I think Mourinho is the perfect man for Manchester United, 100%, and I don't think there's anybody better out there. And I certainly don't think when you are up against the juggernaut of Man City, Pep Guardiola, his open checkbook and the world-class players he's got, you don't want to be replacing your manager anyway. And if you are replacing your manager, you need somebody who will go into the trenches, is 100% focused, is a winner, is a proven winner, is a proven fighter. And there's nobody in world football to do that other than Jose Mourinho. You know, if we brought Pochettino in against Pep Guardiola, we might play some good football and play the kids, but we'd have a manager who's never won anything, who Guardiola would absolutely school. And the same for anybody else you want to chuck about. I mean, Simeone, you talk about parking the bus, that's what we get with him. So Mourinho is the best man for the job. I don't know. Manchester United don't speak to me. Manchester United speak to me as much as they speak to you. Then I don't know what Manchester United think about Jose Mourinho. We heard all these rumours at the start that Bobby Charlton never wanted him years ago and doesn't want him. He doesn't feel that he's the right character for Manchester United. Are the board supportive of him? Sir Alex Ferguson always seemed to have a good relationship with him, but his loyalty is Manchester United. What is the Manchester United feeling towards Jose Mourinho? They've got to get a contract on the table for him. That's what we as fans need to see. Well, maybe you don't want to see that, but Mourinho's got to meet the club halfway. I don't agree with the hotel living. It feels to me like that doesn't feel good to me. The hotel living doesn't feel good. And I say hotel living, it's not like the Travel Lodge where, you know, it's not Alan Partridge in, you know, Linton Travel Lodge with his bloody trouser press and his Corby trouser press and his porn on the telly and he's stuck in his room all day. This will be a suite. This will be big, you know, better than anybody's house, the suite he's got at the Lowry, but it's not his house. It's a hotel. It's not his family because his family have commitments in London. And that can happen in the modern world, and it's happened with a lot of managers, but this is Manchester United. And I think we, as Manchester United fans, want somebody to be in Manchester United's psyche and in love with Manchester United, like Sir Alex Ferguson was. And we always go back to that because it's recent and it was very successful. And I think Mourinho wants that, but there's something holding him back, and maybe he doesn't feel that the club are giving it him. I don't know. Maybe the story is just a total load of nonsense. Maybe it is a total load of nonsense, but it is a concern. And the reason I've reacted to it is because I've said it a few times, it's never really been the leading story when we've been talking about stuff, but I have said it a few times that Mourinho's contract is an issue. That needs to be resolved. I mean, remember Sir Alex Ferguson a few years ago when he said he was going to retire, and he tried to do a last year, and United's form dips and everything like that. And in his autobiography, he said, the worst thing I ever did was if I was going to go, I should have just gone at the end of the season. I should not have said I'm going at the end of next season, because you'll lose the players. No matter how good a manager you are, no matter how ingrained you are into the club, if the players know you're going at the end of the season, their mind's not on the job for various reasons. So we all know Mourinho is out of contract at the end of next season. So they need to do something before then. And that means something's going to happen in the next 6 months. And maybe that's what's all going on here. Mourinho has more fear of losing than willingness to win. Disgusting mentality, says Nicholas. Paul Robinson's take some comments, Mark. I am going to take some comments. I want to take some comments because, quite simply, I don't actually understand why we've got 121 dislikes on the video tonight. So if somebody wants to tell me why we've got that, because if you're not opening up your ears, I think the title, you know, sometimes we get moaned at for the titles. The title is absolutely accurate. It is in relation to a story that's broken in the last 20 minutes. And my last 10 minutes talking to you has been giving an honest reaction to that I think we should have concerns, but it probably is just paper talk. But hopefully it will spur a new contract for Mourinho. The TARDIS Zone says, if Jose leaves, I fear for his mark, and I think it's what's best for our club, says Kieran Byrne. If Mourinho does leave, we should get Ancelotti. I think Ancelotti has solid tactics, but Jose doesn't have solid tactics here, Consager. Well, a cynic could say this. They could say, well, maybe Manchester United are sort of forcing him out of the club because they want Ancelotti. I certainly don't think that is the case. I think that Jose Mourinho wants to be at Manchester United, and I think Manchester United have to make a commitment to Jose Mourinho. Of course they do, but I also feel that it is a Daily Mail story. I accept that as well, but I also think that there is valid concern, and it does need to be on the agenda, because we are Manchester United. We have got very educated fans, and we mustn't be blind to what we've sort of been discussing for the last few weeks, that the contract is short for Mourinho. You know, effectively it's over in the summer, because you can't say a year left on your contract is tenable for either the club, the fans, or the manager. So something has to happen by this summer. Where is this contract? Is there an appetite from Mourinho to sign a new contract? Is there an appetite from the club to sign a new contract? Or are they both just going to say, you know what, it's not been the easiest season. I haven't had the players I wanted last summer. I'm not signing anything until the summer, and I know what I'm getting. And the club might be like, it's not been the easiest season. There is some concern that we could still finish 6th. Let's see where we are at the end of the season. That leaves us in limbo, doesn't it? That creates uncertainty around the club. I had Marcus messaging me. What's the story that broke, says KS? So it was in the Daily Mail that there is a growing concern around Manchester United that Jose Mourinho will quit in the summer. Apparently he's become more detached, the hotel living and all that jazz. I mean, a story like this could just be made up. Of course it can, and many stories are, and anything that's to do with Mourinho will obviously create a buzz, which is part of the reason why we went live, to try and give the real fan opinion, the real Manchester United fan opinion, because the Daily Mail can write what they bloody well like and the world will lap it up, but we have a responsibility as a fan channel collectively to react to something that's going to blow up, because it's going to be all over and everyone will, you know, rivals and everything will make something of it. And I think as a fan base we need to be aware of the fact that it obviously is probably out there to make people click on that particular article and say that Mourinho is going to leave and undermine the manager, which, you know, obviously I'm always talking about that we need to be very careful of that as a fan base, that they do try to undermine Mourinho a lot, because a lot of them are anti-Mourinho and anti-Manchester United, and that makes for a lethal cocktail. But beyond what is probably a petrol bomb sort of article done to cause problems, it does probably hit a nerve with some United fans that, you know, he does seem a bit detached. I've always said he looks very miserable, and a lot of the time he does look miserable, and he is always angling for a fight in the press conferences, because he's probably very annoyed of all the anti-press he gets, and he probably doesn't enjoy some of the way the fans have reacted to some of his players when we've had bad results, and he's under a lot of pressure because he hates Guardiola, and Guardiola has been very successful in the city he's managing. So he's under a lot of pressure, but I don't think that that's Mourinho's style to walk away from Manchester United. I think if he walked away from Manchester United, it would define him for the rest of his footballing career, and it would define him as failure. I don't think Chelsea sacking him when he was when he just won a title 4 months ago really harmed his reputation that much, because I think that just enhanced what everybody thinks about Chelsea's ownership, that they are mercenary and not football people, and they make reactionary decisions that, you know, you don't sack the manager who's made you champions 4 months later just because you're in the bottom half of the table. You look at why that is and you give him the season. And I don't think that ruined Mourinho's career in any sense, because he got the Manchester United job. But I think if he walked away from Manchester United after 2 seasons where he's clearly progressed us, we are playing better football, we are winning trophies, and we are getting better and better gradually every month, that I've got no doubts Mourinho's job's very hard, and it is very hard, but I think he's the man to see it through, and I think he should do, and I hope he does. Valent Miller says Mourinho is the only man who can save us. He believes that too, so I know he won't leave. Mourinho won't need to sign players from PSG now, says Retro Unlim. I mean, but that's a valid point in itself, because what we don't know is that if there's, look, forget the article. We've spoken about this before. Forget the article. If Mourinho's been told you've only got £100 billion to spend in the summer, he might go, look, all I'm going to do is ruin my reputation. I can't do this with 100 billion quid. So, you know what? I'll get you into the top 4 again. I'll win you the FA Cup, and then I'm going to go, and you can get somebody else. That is a situation. But I think that would be really short-sighted of Manchester United, and we've already heard that this potentially. Well, Mourinho himself said on Friday, we will sign. I'm confident we are going to sign a massive player this summer. So he's aware of things as much as we're aware of things, and I don't see that being a problem at all, if I'm totally honest. So yeah, I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine. But I want to take some of your comments on this, because I think it raises a bigger picture. I think it does raise a bigger picture that we are constantly being hounded by the press, and when, you know, so much so it's like the boy who cried wolf, or the girl who cried wolf, if we're diverse, although the story was the boy who cried wolf, that they just keep crying wolf, wolf all the time, and then when the wolf does come, no one comes to help, no one wants to listen, and you get eaten by the wolf. And I think the press are like that about Mourinho and Manchester United. They keep shouting out these stories, and eventually they probably will get one right, but I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like lying in bed at 10:30 at night and seeing an article come up like that, and then thinking that is going to cause a lot of United fans stress, or a minority happiness, because they'll think there's something in it. So that's why we went live about it, because I just think it's, where is this story? Who is the quoted person? Oh, it's another United source. What does it do for Mourinho? What does it do for United? You know, at the end of the day, I'm going to make a joke here. Our progression in 2018 has been flawless. We started the year in 3rd. We won. We didn't concede. We scored 2 world-class goals, and we're back in 2nd place now. With no games in hand, no goal difference. We are clearly back in 2nd place. So there is progress already in 2018. You know, as far as I know, we're only 3 days into the year, but as far as it goes for United, it's been pretty good. And what happens on the 3rd day? We get a horrible story about our manager and our club undermining us again, don't we? And it doesn't help. It doesn't help. It doesn't help us. Mancs think the world is against them, says Ty Randall. Well, I'm not a Manc, so I don't think that. Hi Mark, says Jason Clanter. People rate Pochettino, but Jose would win the league with Spurs, says Ryan Edmondson. I do agree with that. I do agree with that. And we should keep Mourinho. Is he our best option at the moment, says Conce Jr. And Sandy Lynn says minority, you've lost the plot, Mark. No, I think it's a minority who want Mourinho out. I do. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that I mean, I don't have a poll thing that I could do. So well, we've got so many dislikes on the video, it doesn't really matter. So if you want Mourinho to stay, hit the like button. If you want him to go, hit the dislike button, and we'll see. But I'm convinced that the vast majority want Mourinho to stay. I think it's a minority who want him to go. I respect the minority. People like Andrew Ellis have been like it from the start, but I think we've got the right man for the right time. And here's a good point from Dan. He says, in the Daily Mail last night, they said that the board are going to do everything to help Jose and United get back to the top, and they have 2 marquee signings lined up. Exactly. And then the next night they think, well, we need something a little bit negative. He wants PSG, says Bash Gaming. He will have an open book. Well, that, I wouldn't say it's separate. Stephen Beeble says, hated, adored, never ignored. Mourinho is the man for United. I wouldn't say it's separate. I think that's a very good point from Bash Gaming, that Mourinho, if Mourinho's got PSG on the options, and many people feel he hasn't got PSG on the table because they don't want him, but I think they do. If they do want him, Mourinho gets more than an open checkbook. He basically gets what he wants. He also inherits Mbappe, Neymar, and a host of other world-class players. He goes in a league where he can basically go on holiday for 8 months and leave the tea lady in charge, and they'll win the league. And then he gets to totally, basically, you've got a 10-game season where you focus on the Champions League. He'll get paid more than he does at Manchester United. The press in France will be like, you know, chihuahuas compared to the Rottweilers in the UK. His life will be a lot easier, but he might do it. He might do it, but I still think there's moral and there's immoral. And PSG, like Man City and what Guardiola's done, is silver spoon. And Mourinho's never really been silver spoon. Yeah, I suppose a little bit at Chelsea, but they hadn't won it the first time. They'd never won the Premier League when he took over. They had money, but they never won the Premier League. Real Madrid were in trouble, and he took them on. Inter Milan was certainly not an easy job, and he won the Champions League. Porto certainly wasn't. His pedigree as a manager is that he's not really a silver spoon manager. He's a manager that goes in and turns a project round. Granted, most of them are big clubs in their country, but he turns it round. If he walks away from Manchester United project to go and do a PSG project, then that's the end of Mourinho for me, because yes, he might be successful, but there won't be any credibility in it. And I can't slag Pep Guardiola off for being a silver spoon open checkbook manager who never takes anything on hard if Mourinho then goes and does that at PSG. So I don't think he will. I think he'll stay at Manchester United, and maybe there's a lot of hope in that, but there's a lot more credibility in what he's doing at Manchester United, and it's a lot harder. And I hope he does. And if he is thinking about going to PSG, then if I was the board, I'd be like, there's nobody better than him. If he wants 300 million, it's in our interest to do it. It's in our interest to do it. I agree with Kieran. I think the next 10 days are massive for transfer business for Manchester United. We've got Derby County on Friday, and we don't play Stoke City, when we're going to get Mark Hughes sacked, hopefully, on until the following Monday, because we're Monday Night Football. So what's that? It's 10 days. 10 days to get some transfer business done. I think that they are absolutely key. Absolutely key. Anyway, it is getting late, and I know a lot of people have work and everything back tomorrow. Please do smash the like button. I think a lot of people disliked the video because they didn't understand that it's not nonsense from us. It genuinely is a story that's gone up that irritated me, and I felt that we as a community and as a bunch of Manchester United fans, we would go live and discuss it through together. And Damarcio has said that Conte's lined up as PSG's manager anyway. Well, Conte is the sort of mercenary who would be perfect for them. I don't see Mourinho as a mercenary manager, so I'm hoping he's going to prove us right. I believe he's the right man for the job. And for all those people who are saying it's unfair on Mark Hughes, how many times has Mark Hughes screwed us over? How many times does Mark Hughes get his team absolutely up for United and nobody else? It will be sweet, sweet justice if we are the club that he gets sacked against if we beat them 4-0. But knowing Hughes, they'll be up for it with their cup final. But surely he will get sacked if we beat them. So that would be nice for all those people who've been irritated by the way Hughes' teams just play players like a cup final every way. Thanks everybody. Look, the United Stand is the United Stand. It's not always going to be easy, is it? Some of the things we react to are going to divide opinion. That's what the United Stand was all started up on. I'm not going to disrespect people who, you know, get irritated or frustrated by it, but it's a genuine news story. Well, I say genuine. I don't think, hopefully it's not genuine. It's a story that's gone up. It irritated me, and that's what the United Stand's there for. Instead of being irritated on our own, we go live and we discuss it. And I want Jose to stay. I want him to stay. And I think the club there needs to be a statement, and the best statement is the contract. The contract worries me. That's what worries me. Anyway, we will be back tomorrow morning at 7 AM. Not that long. 7 AM until Transfer Daily every morning in January. And if you didn't see the video before because you were watching Arsenal versus Chelsea, we've got the Mourinho transfer shocker, which talks about Lucas Moura and what Mourinho apparently wants in January, which was weird. But you can catch that in the video from earlier. In fact, go and watch it now. Thanks everyone for watching. Really appreciate it, and we'll be back tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning. Thanks for everyone who's liked the video. Thanks for the 223 people who disliked it. I'm still baffled as to why, but nobody's bothered to let me know in the live comments, so I don't actually understand, because it was quite... I will knock a poll on there, Jonathan Collison. I will put a poll on there. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll speak to you all soon. I'll see you tomorrow at 7 AM.